Really appreciate everybody being here tonight. I'm going to give a little bit of an intro and then we're going to get right into it. We are every day besieged with all the national stories, all the national politics, every day. But what truly matters in your everyday lives is your local elected officials. So I, echoing John's sentiments and everybody from the Hobe Sound Chamber, want to commend those who are stepping forward to serve their community as candidates. And I am just honored to be a small part of that process as they go forth to do great work for the community. So without further ado, we'll get started. First, we have the school board. So if the school board members are ready, come on up, take your seats, and let's get the questions started. So if we're going to get started with our first 1-minute opening statements. So Ms. White, if you'd like to start.
Hello.
I think we can hear you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Sherry White. I am a resident of Jensen Beach, and I have been on the Treasure Coast for about 42 years. My government experience is I worked for the city of Stewart for 31 years as a city clerk, and then I became a teacher. And when I became the teacher is when I saw the need in the classroom, the teachers, the school district in a whole, and our students and our parents are number one. I hope to be able to serve on the school board and appreciate your support. Thank you.
Chuck Wynn.
Good evening. My name is Chuck Wynn, and I'm a candidate for the District 1 school board seat. For the past 25 years, my wife Lynn and I have lived in North River Shores, next to Jensen Beach. I'm a retired Army colonel, author, and self-directed options trader. The related experience that I bring to the table includes 10 years as a national-level strategic planner, 4 years as an associate professor at Tuskegee University, and 2 years of installation master planning. The reasons I'm running are to focus you on the imperative for our district to join the 53 other counties of our state that have fully implemented the Florida School Guardian Program and to transition our students into the skills that the Florida Chamber of Commerce Foundation's Blueprint 2030 projects will be needed for newly created cognitive recurring and non-recurring positions that will replace 70% of existing entry-level jobs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep, we'll pass it. There's one mic per table. You're welcome.
Good evening. I'm Krisha Lee Roberts. I am the incumbent for District 1 for the Martin County School Board. I'm a Martin County resident for 46 years. I've been on the board now for 12 years. You'll hear more about us, I'm sure. I have some brochures in the lobby, but I would like to thank the Chamber and Sean for doing this tonight. Thank you.
All thanks goes to the Chamber. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. My name is Jen Russell, and I am your current district school board member for District 3. Over the past 4 years, I've remained focused on student success, supporting our teachers, being fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars. What you may not know about me is I've served weekly in several of our schools, pulling small groups, reading, and working with one-on-one with students to increase their reading proficiency. This has allowed me to be accessible to our teachers and give them an opportunity to give me feedback on the decisions we're making at the school board level. I want to know how my decisions translate to the classroom. It's important to me. I have also worked to strengthen many community partnerships. I have a heart for our students and helping them to succeed. I hope to be given the opportunity to continue my role as school board member for District 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Clark. I'm a lifelong resident of Martin County for 61 years. I've been serving my community, local government, public health. I went to the Martin County schools. My children are graduates of Martin County school systems as well. And I am running it because teachers need to be heard, parents need a voice, and my faith is my foundation, my family is my motivation, and my community is my heart.
I'd like to thank everyone for being out. I'm going to use my opening statements and my closing statements to try to give a summary and a quick narrative of things. So I'm not going to get into my qualifications. You can see all of that on my literature. Let me just say that in 2018, I ran for school board unopposed, and I was humbled by that. And things went so well. I was the only person at that time. Well, there was one other who had educated me experience. But anyway, it was really a humbling experience. Things went well until about 2020 when something called COVID-19 broke loose. And what happened with that is little Martin County just kind of got wrapped up into all the things that were going on with that. And basically, I made one vote, well, to wear the mask. And that proves to be the thing that sunk me. Afterwards, a lot of people called and told me, you need to run again. I think we understand better that that was not really the smartest thing to do. And so I find myself here with all of my experience. I've been here before. I've done it. And I thank you for being out tonight.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. My name is Amy Pritchett, and I live in District 4. I live in the Port Salerno area, and I've been here for 10 years, and I'm running for re-election to finish what we started. Our schools are A now. Our district is an A, and where our schools are climbing. Our teachers are the highest paid salary on the Treasure Coast, and I would like to see that rise even more, and I would also like your vote. So thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Millie Blanco, and I'm running for School Board District 4. I bring a student perspective to the board. I'm an educator. I currently teach at Crystal Lake Elementary. I'm a media specialist, have been teaching for over 27 years. Why am I running? Because I know Martin County needs change. It needs a new perspective. It needs innovation. And I know that I would be the right person to bring those strategies to our district. Teaching in Broward and Palm Beach County, I have had great success throughout my career, and I know how to take this county to the next level because I started doing it already with Crystal Lake Elementary, and I'm honored to have your support, and please learn more about me. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to start with our questions. You each have a minute to answer the questions, much like your opening statement. So we'll start with those, and we'll start with she who went last. Will go first with the first question. If elected or re-elected to the school board, what is your number one priority that you would like to accomplish in your first 365 days?
I would say to quickly do an assessment on our students and our educational, making sure that we are getting student parent involvement, being able to help our parents, maybe have a parent university, maybe instill programs that will increase their involvement. And also take a look at the budget and see how accountability can help us get rid of some of the extra spending and really dedicate that to programs that are more effective for student success.
Thank you. Next response and question. Everybody's going to get the same question,
Okay.
so you
So
don't
the
have any
first-
anticipation all the way down here, Miss Webb.
In the first 365 days.
In the first 365.
So number one, we'd like to get a really good contract with our teachers because that happens during this period, starting when they come back in August. So I would like to work with them to get a satisfying contract in place. But I also want to continue the things that we're doing. We're moving forward. Our reading has gone up 10 points in the past 4 years. I would like to see it climb even higher. It's not enough. I want 100%, but we're not going to get that in 1 year, but we could get it in 4 years. So in the first year, I'd like to get a contract in place, continue working strategies that we're currently working on that are working, and make sure that our students are getting everything that they need and have had in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
My first priority would be to make sure that everyone that's on the school board, they're in favor of public schools. There's something going on around here now that trying to dismantle public schools. I care about the teachers, but if we don't have the schools, there won't be a need for teachers, okay? And we are losing them. We're losing students. And if you're on a school board, you should be an ambassador for public schools. You should be the loudest voice, the most loyal voice. Anything short of that, you're a hypocrite, okay? And you're just not being fair, and you don't belong on the school board. We need to show that we're dedicated and we believe in public school. public schools is Americana. It's the fabric of our country, what it was raised on. If we lose that, and I'm not against school choice, by the way, but we need to make sure we recruit and retain teachers, and now we got to go out and retain students that we have lost. And that's really sad because our school system does a very, very good job. But we don't do a good job marketing it. After all these years, now we got to go out and market that.
Thank you.
What I would like to see is that the schools that had a declining for from A schools to these schools, so we do have to do assessment of the teachers and the school as well. But teachers need resources, parents need to be heard, but we definitely need to take a look. I would want to take a look to see what's the gap, what happened, why the speeds have declined in my district. Overall, the county is a B. It's not an A, it's a B. But I want to know what happened in the decline into the schools with the lowest set score.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
Just to clarify, we are an area district. But what I would like to do in the first 365 days is work on continuing to expand our VTK. It's really important that our earliest learners are getting what they need. And I want to, something that is happening since I've been in office. We have been able to expand to every single school, which is doing great. And then I also would like to expand our CTE program, which is our career technical education. That's not every student is going to go to college. They have career pathways, and I want to make sure that we set them up for success and they have everything they need. And I also want to continue on our reading deficiencies. Where we're at is 65%, and that is something that I have to keep telling and keep teaching until we get a inspired reading deficiency.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Chrishely Roberts, District 1. So let's face it, what we talk about in schools is student achievement. That's the number one thing that a school district is tasked with coming up with is student achievement. And let's also face it, I don't care whether it's your senior year, which is your last year in school. I don't care if it's your elementary year where you're learning foundational skills, but every year is important. So in that first year, that's the thing that's most important to be focused on is student achievement. So there's a couple ways that you look at that. One is assessing the student on a regular basis to find out individually what they need in order to progress, allocating the assets in order so that the teachers and the school has the assets to take care of what they need to take care of, and giving the support to the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nguyen?
Yeah, during my first year in office, I plan to spend the first 6 months conducting and directing a comprehensive planning process for implementing the Florida School Guardian Program. The first step will be to survey to identify those educators and staff members who are willing to volunteer for premium pay to undergo the comprehensive screening and 135-hour comprehensive training program to qualify as Florida School Guardians so that we can get online with the 53 other counties in Florida who have implemented the program since it was implemented in 2019. And I also want to identify those courses that coincide with the first pillar of Florida's Blueprint 2030 for cognitive skill transition.
Thank you.
That's why.
So in my first 365 days, when I'm elected, I want to focus on, more importantly, we need to go back to the basics. I think our students are tested out. They're totally, if they go to school and when COVID hit, the parents got to see that all the kids do is test after test. And there's really no learning. There's a PowerPoint presentation that's given. I think we need to get back to the basics. I also think that we need to look at our school and the students' needs at the elementary level. I think you need more help with the disadvantaged students, especially in those schools that are not a B school, not even an A school, but they're C schools. So we need to focus on getting more help with that and focusing on taking care of our teachers. The biggest thing is our teachers need support. We need support and we need help in the classroom, and however that I can make that happen, I will.
And then And you can remain standing because I'm going to start with the next question right here again, too. As a steward of taxpayer dollars, what do you propose the district do with CHS?
School board.
I don't agree with getting rid of Jewish that are currently packed there. I do, however, support looking at raising funds for vacant school-owned property. I don't support existing school fees. So
Thank you.
Vacant school thing, because if it's property that's not a school, for example, so property that we're not using, that could be sold and returned back to the tax base. The funds that are raised from that have to stay in the capital account, so that has to do with buildings, it doesn't have to do with instruction, employees, etc. So that's number one. So I would support doing that. On the other hand, individual schools. I think we have opportunities in schools to look at what we're going to do in those schools, whether it's modifying those schools, whether it's adding space for career technical programs or other types of things, early childhood learning. We have the opportunity to do those things in those schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If we have unused school property that are not designated for schools, that I am in favor of selling. If it's sitting vacant, we do have properties like that. We are currently assessing each property that we have that is unused and waiting for our reports to come back. However, if it's being used, I want to see what exactly we could do to use it to its best and fullest capacity. Get the percentages of where we're at. All of our schools are being utilized. We've been very careful and we've been monitoring exactly their utilization for each one. And so currently, as far as our ones that are unused, those are I am in favor of selling.
Thank you. Oh, you get to keep that one. It's a hard habit to break.
Well, at least all of us in agreement about property that the school is not using. This is home for me. I'm not in agreement with combining Warfield Elementary and Indiantown Middle School together because Warfield is a historical school and we have the highest enrollment, which I know it's a lot go into y'all budget or whatever, but a school that's already existing. It's 100 years old. We got new homes coming there, so why would we want to get rid of Warfield Elementary? Property that's not being used by the school, I'm for selling that, but not the schools that are already have the children in it.
Thank you.
The last thing I'd like to see is to have to close a school. Nobody wants to do that, okay? Better schools make better communities. But we're in a pinch now, let's face it. With the, the opening of schools going to the highest bidder and outsourcing schools, it's put public schools in a real bind. So if worse comes to worse, it's to our advantage, the fact that we have some assets that we can sell off and keep afloat until we get this thing back on track. I do believe that it's just a matter of time. People are going to understand that a lot of the students that left to go to some of these charter schools, and I'm not against charter schools because they should offer something uniquely special, okay? But if they don't, a lot of them are not. And so they're siphoning off our kids, and it's costing us a big problem. But I believe real soon, if not already, a lot of them are circling back to public schools, finding out that's the best deal in town. So if we have to sell off some property to maintain what we need to do, that's a good thing.
Thank you.
So currently we have 4 properties that are being assessed and we're waiting for a second assessment on them. We have had interest in some of those properties, and I am in full agreement that since they are no longer being using for school, they should be sold. But I too do not want us to sell schools that are already filled with children. There's no reason to do that. Martin County doesn't have to do that.
I personally think that we need to assess everything before we make any decision to sell any school. We should see what the purpose of that school serves. Indiantown, for example, we need to see the growth that's happening there before we even decide on selling Indiantown Elementary. For example, the reason why I was recruited to Martin County was because I was going to be the one to open up the media program for Crystal Lake Elementary. At the time, Crystal Lake was thought to be K through 8 school. So when I interviewed, looking at my credentials, they thought, well, she would be the perfect candidate for this because I've opened up 3 schools throughout my career, so I know what it's like. I would study the things first before selling anything and how we can make money off of those properties by either renting it out, getting funds that will help us in the long run, that's selling them, and then later on seeing a major growth.
Thank you. Thank you. This will be the last question before our speed round with the yes or no's. We've heard a lot in the news, and there's certainly been a push. Mainly what we're hearing is out of California at this point about eliminating or greatly limiting students' time on screens, especially in the younger grades. What do you believe is the school board's role in setting policies about children's exposure to computers and AI, especially at the elementary school level? And we can start back at the end again.
Okay, basically, what happens with technology, like everything, it gets put in the schools, and then after so many years, then they do the research, and it's really harming our students. Northern states have maintained a traditional approach for as long as we could think of. Basically, we're coming back to that traditional here in Florida because our students are getting affected by computer screening time. Basically, I would like to see the computer being used as a tool, not as a drill and practice. That is what's happening here in Martin County, where students are using the computer because the county can then track the progress and proficiency of the student. They're using those programs, but that's not teaching. Our students need to have that relationship, and the teacher needs to create that relationship so the kids can learn. Having them on the computer to say, hey, they mastered this is not effective.
Thank you very much.
So I'm in the elementary schools. I read to the kids, and they have to sign up on a computer to go into AR, and it takes them 10 minutes. I'm there for 45 minutes, and we've wasted 10 minutes just having them sign into the computer. So I am in full favor of eliminating computers at the elementary level, especially the young ones, like kindergarten, first grade, second grade. What happened to books? I miss them. So I'm really a proponent of books. I am.
Thank you. For the record, I like books too.
I think like anything else, there should be moderation in that. These kids pick up really quick, and they're really great with technology. And that's where we are. But there needs to be limits on that. And I think we need to just find that balance, and with the proper mix, we'll have the best curriculum that's there. But to totally eliminate them, I wouldn't say that. There needs to be some, they need to be familiar to a certain degree because they're going to move on to it anyway. But it really need to be monitored and probably scale back, not as much as what we're seeing.
Thank you.
We should have a balance with computers. It's all about personal. Kids need to know that the teachers could see them, vice versa. I have a grandson. He has on the spectrum. We do let him use his iPad, but there has to be a balance. Too much of anything is not good for you. But I definitely think they need to have computer as they get older because you don't want them to be behind when everything else is evolving. But definitely we need some limits.
I would agree. We do need a balance. I feel, especially in the elementary level, our students, it does, I feel, hurt them in the long run because there's less handwriting involved, which is helping with their reading comprehension. I feel that really hurts them in the long run when they're getting that start where they're focused on their tablets more than they are handwriting. And I would like to see that more. Obviously, it's used more as they get older, and it's a part of what they're doing. I mean, they're testing, it's required by DOE, but I would like to see a whole lot less of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Krisha Lee Roberts again. Policy and budget. Those are the two primary things that the school board is assigned legislatively to do, policy and budget. And both of those things have opportunities for community members like yourselves, interested people, to weigh in and say what they think about it. Now, I will say that one of the things, I believe you said something about school board members and what they're doing about screen time, what they felt about screen time.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things we did do before the state put any regulations in is we eliminated cell phones in the schools. So students can have them with them in their backpack or whatever, but they can't bring them out. They can't use them during the day, which created some students who actually wrote to us and said, you know, we don't like this policy because now I have to talk to people at lunch instead of looking at my cell phone. So anyway, we've moved beyond that. We're past that now. We've managed to conquer that hill and we're beyond that. And now we're down to this. And I think what we're doing is they need some of it for testing to learn how to take the test appropriately. But other than that, I don't believe it's appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do believe that the best way to, especially in the elementary schools, the best way to develop cognitive reasoning, research skills, and critical thinking is with a hard copy book. You graduate, when they're towards the end of elementary school, going into middle school, that's when you can integrate the information technology into the curriculum. But you need to teach them basic skills like how to read a paper map. Once they learn how to read a paper map, once they know how to write with their own hands, once they learn how to look something up in an index or table of contents and have mastered those skills, then they're ready to learn information technology.
Bold argument that kids should be able to read a map. I like it.
So I do have to say that my daughter recently took a trip to New York City and I had one of those laminated paper maps and I gave it to her and she said, Mom, what am I going to do with this? So yeah, so today's technology is huge. Kids rely on their cell phones, but agree at an early age, early intervention is key. Reading is fundamental. That is the number one thing. We need to get our kids back to the basics, reading, opening the book, writing. The kids don't write anymore. They just use AI or some format to format their papers. I believe we need to not have those in the classrooms.
Well, y'all are doing so good on time. We have one more time for one more of the questions and give you a chance for the response. And obviously, the biggest concern for a school board member is the budget. So what do you propose as the best course of action to maintain a healthy budget and to overcome any budget shortfalls? And we'll start back down here again with Mrs. White.
So budget is important. Spreadsheets are important, not as important as our students. I think we need to look at the funding for our teachers. And that is my number one priority, is to look at how the teachers are paid, how they're supported, and as far as budgeting for health insurance, I think we need to strategically look at other ways. Our teachers are leaving, they can't afford health insurance, and that's important. So that would be my goal.
Thank you.
My first priority will be to the faculty, the educators, the teachers. I have a master's degree in human resource management. Any cuts that have to be made need to be linked to any potential grants that we rotely approve on consent agendas to make sure there are no encumbering strings attached that obligate the budget for years beyond the immediate need. We think that we're satisfying by quickly entering into grant agreements.
Thank you.
Thank you. So as many of you may or may not know, the state of Florida tells us how much we can charge for operating expenses and how much we can charge for capital. Now, the interesting thing is that we are in a business now that is driven by consumer demand. So all of the language that you've heard from other counties where they're having problems balancing their budget, they're having to cut people, all of those are not happening in Martin County. We know what our revenue is because we can count our students, multiply it by the number. We know what our revenue is, and we build our budget based on those numbers. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are constantly monitoring and adjusting as we go. When we get our numbers each year, we know exactly what we're looking at. Like she said, we have a certain amount of students. They are worth a certain amount. There's a certain number that comes with their base student allocation. We know exactly what we're looking at. And we base our budget off of that, just like you do your own bills at home. When you know what's coming in versus what's going out, you make adjustments to make sure that you have the proper number so you can have a zero balance. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the budget needs to be balanced and it needs to be prioritized with the people who is working in the school system. They are important in order for our children to succeed, even though you said you were governed by the state, but we still need to prioritize. It needs to be what needs to be most important in the budget.
Thank you.
With the school board being the real head of the organization and then the superintendent really answering to us, I think it's important that we make sure that our leader, the superintendent, arm himself with the best possible people. So we're talking budget. So the chief financial officer, it starts with getting a very good person. We are not experts at everything. We sit here and we look good because of the people, starting with the teachers right on up. They're the ones that make us look good. So you have to get good, competent, qualified people, and you need to listen to them. When they come to you and lay it out, listen to them. And that's the reason why you have people like that. They're the experts, and you don't want to be too proud to not, if you hire them, then you really should listen to them because they know.
To dovetail off that, our superintendent is hiring the most qualified people to do that. We had, over the past 4 years, a CFO who knew it inside out, upside down, and sideways. And when we were met with challenges, he came to us and told us, we have to do it this way because we may not be able to do this. So we rely on them to do that. And when we get those people and they're doing their jobs, it does make us look good.
Thank you.
I think accountability is one of the most important things as a school board member. Teachers, in order to provide quality education, you need to have quality teachers. We have quality teachers, but are we respecting them? Are we providing the benefits that they need in order to succeed or in order to live in Martin County? Our budget is, our raise is never considered. Our contracts aren't never settled before the school starts. We've never seen in the business world a contract is settled before the business acts, right? In education, as far as 28 years, there hasn't been one contract that's settled prior to it. We need to bring back respect to our teachers and our employees, make them feel like what they deserve in order for us to give quality education and excellence in every single school. Use other resources and grants and other business partners to supplement the programs that we want to implement, but quality education and quality teachers is what we need.
Thank you. All right, now you each need to grab a hold of your paddles. We're going to start the rapid round. So I'm going to be asking a series of questions, and you've got to pick an answer. You got to hold it one or the other. No abstaining from the, well, I guess you could abstain, but we prefer if you didn't abstain from the questions. So our first question is, do you support restrictions on campaign contributions to school board candidates? Thank you. Do you support state-funded full-day pre-K? Do you support the Schools of Hope program? Abstinent. No?
Okay.
The question was, do you support the Schools of Hope program?
Which we don't have.
Are you aware of any notice from the Hope School operators of their desire to co-locate on any Martin County School District vacant properties? Are you aware of any notice from any Hope School operators of a desire to co-locate on any of the Martin County School District vacant properties? Yes, you're aware. And I didn't write the question, so you can't ask me too many questions. I don't really know. I just read the script for the most part. I'm asking if you are aware of anybody showing any or giving any notice of an interest of the Hope School operators of their desire to co-locate on any of the Martin County vacant properties. She doesn't like the question. That you got to take up with John.
You got a message?
We got a letter and then went away because they didn't qualify. But yes, you got through.
So I think we agreed that we all know that no Pope school has asked for space in our deserts.
Okay. That's the question. I don't know the answer to your qualifying question, Chuck. I'm just up here reading from the script. Yeah. Chuck, I can't say it any other way. I don't have an answer to your question. All right. Fine.
The answer was, is there any Hope school that has requested space in Martin County? And is there any Hope school that has
That'd be
requested
better.
space in Martin County? And the answer
Point
is,
of order, who's the
there is
moderator?
no.
You were,
We're going to move on from the very controversial question that I clearly know nothing about. Final question. Yes or no, if you have any business, financial, budgeting, or accounting experience? Thank you very much. That concludes the rapid round questions. Since we started with the opening statements down here, we'll start on the other side with the closing statements. Each of you has 90 seconds to give a closing statement, and we'll start where we ended on the last one.
Thank you again for listening to me. I'm Millie Blanco, running for School Board District 4. There were a lot of things that I wanted to touch base upon. Technology is also important in the sense that we do need to teach our students how to produce. How we use technology is important. Are we teaching them how to effectively use it? Use it as a tool to create things, not as your guide to instruction. It needs to still be teacher-led. In the elementary level, I've had a lot of success where students are using the technology to create, take ownership of their learning, and be able to use a platform to demonstrate what they've learned. Martin County is part of the Jim Harbin Movie Festival. This year is the first time ever because I taught students how to take it up, how to create a video based on a book that they've read. So they created book trailers, and we were able to compete in the state level. So I'm very proud of that. Salaries are important, quality. We need to meet the needs of all our students. We need to have a voice for our parents. We need to let them communicate to us. We need to be hands-on board, be able to show that transparency and accountability so that parents trust us, they trust public school education, and they pick us first. I would take the job very seriously because we also have to take it as a board up to this state level. We need to advocate for our students as well. Thank you very much. I hope you learn about me. I'm Millie Blanco.
Thank you.
Again, I want to thank you all for coming. I would like to continue the work that we're doing. When I came here in 2022, we had 12 schools that were C or below. We have 4 C schools now, and it's not good enough. I want us to get to all Bs or As. Being all A would be wonderful, but I'm also a realist, and if we could climb those 4 schools up to a B in the next several years, that would make me very happy. We got back our A rating after 7 years. I think that's a wonderful accomplishment. I feel like I have leadership, accountability, and I'm showing my results by working with the board to achieve the things that we've achieved. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to pick up where I left off at when I got started. So I served on probably the most difficult time we've ever seen in Florida. A lot has been written about it nationally as well during COVID. We had to make tough decisions. I voted for the mask mandate, and that became a political, it was just tough. A lot of parents did not want it. We gave them a choice. The kids could stay home, okay? Or if they came to school, they had to wear a mask. Well, guess what? Some were so extreme, they didn't want to keep them home, and they didn't want them to wear a mask. They wanted them to come out without a mask, when most people were in agreement is that that was necessary. After I lost by less than 0.5%, I got a call back in December when a Washington correspondent called me. I thought it was a joke. She was coming down to cover the general election in Mar-a-Lago. She said, I want to come by. I heard Martin County is close to West Palm Beach. I want to come by and talk to you, because we identified 4 school board members that were taken down because of that mask mandate, and we identified them as very good school board members. Sadly, they got taken down because of the mask mandate, and we wanted to talk to you. And she came by, and she spoke with me, and it was just part of what was going on. That fog has cleared now. You don't even hear a lot about that now, and I think people can see clearly, and they understand I did a good job, so I want to be reelected to continue being the school board member that I was. I'm proud of my record. People that know me, they know just what I'm all about, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Thanks for inviting me, Chambers of Hope Sound. I've been serving the community all my life. As I said, I was born and raised in Martin County. And I've been given to the community, helping families with resources, supporting students throughout my service. Also, I want to make sure that every child gets an opportunity, if I'm elected, to succeed, because they're our future. We need to invest in them. Teachers need to be heard. They need to be cared about. They're the bedrock for these children. Some of these kids come to school, that's the only maybe hug, hi, or whatever they see, but teachers are important. Parents need to be heard. These parents need to be educated on these policies that we have in the school, and they need to know what their rights are. So if I get elected, that's what I want to do: collaborate, bring us together, and make it better for our children to succeed.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I know it's a weeknight, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I'm thankful for the opportunity that I was given 4 years ago. I love this job more than what I even thought I was going to. For me, it's about service. My leadership style is having a servant's heart and serving others, and that's something that I will continue to do regardless of whether I get on the school board again or not. But I hope that you can put your trust and faith in me for another 4 years. I want to make sure that all of our students are reading well. I want to make sure that our teachers are taken care of. There's so many things that you don't see that I do because I don't post a lot. I am pretty quiet. There are things that I'm doing in the community. I am working with community partners to fill gaps that we have. We are on a tight budget for the school district. So sometimes we have things like, there's a tutoring initiative that I helped out with this last year and found funding for. I worked with multiple entities to bring the funding in to make sure our kids had tutoring. I spent from January 9th to the end of May, I spent every Friday night at Warfield Elementary handing out food to students. And I partnered with the Boys and Girls Club where they gave food and we handed that out every Friday night. There's a lot of those types of things that you guys don't see that I do because I don't like to talk about that. I understand at this point of the game, I kind of need to share those things, but these are things that are important to me, and making sure that I can continue that work that we started, I would really appreciate the opportunity to do that again.
Thank you.
So Krisha Lee Roberts, again, I've been on the school board. I was selected for leadership education, Florida Education Leadership Class 3. I'm a certified board member, actually an advanced certified board member. I have that credential. I'm also was awarded this last year the Distinguished Leader Award from the Florida School Boards Association. And I just recently was appointed the chair of the Florida School Labor Relations Service Group, which is 8 school board members around the state and 8 superintendents around the state. I believe that the focus should remain on 15,862 students in the Martin County School District. It should be focused on our just over 2,000 employees that we deal with, including 1,000 teachers. And it should be responsible to you, the citizens of Martin County, so that you know where your tax dollars are going and you have a say in what we're doing. Thank you. And I appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Mr. Wynn.
Again, Chuck Wynn, District 1 School Board candidate. My years as a strategic planner included managing a $600 million annual budget. That exceeds our school district's budget of $588 million. In the process of cognitive transitioning, I will rely heavily on the demographic and economic data contained in the Florida Chamber Foundation Strategic Plan Blueprint 2030. It projects that Florida's economy will continue to rapidly transform. We need to find a place in Florida's economy for the good, solid, average student. 70% of existing routine manual and non-routine manual jobs will be replaced by cognitive routine and non-routine positions. Our freshmen entering this fall will enter that Florida 2030 economy. Schools must be laser focused on reading, math, workforce readiness, and objectively teaching history without activist messaging. My 14 years of managing the training that prepares units to go to war relates to my primary objective of implementing the Florida School Guardian Program, joining the 53 other Florida counties that have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Sherry White, again, running for District 1 School Board, Jensen Beach, North Stewart. Everyone in this room can vote for a school board member. We are nonpartisan, and I really appreciate everyone coming out tonight. Healthy schools require healthy debate with positive communication pathways. We need a school board that listens to parents, teachers, and students, making them feel valued when their voices matter. I want to restore trust, protect taxpayers, and put students first. I also want to ensure our schools remain the reason why future generations choose to live and work and raise their families right here in Martin County. I believe that every student deserves a safe, well-resourced school with excellent supported teachers and modern facilities. I also believe taxpayers deserve accountability. I will scrutinize spending, advocate for fair state funding, and ensure that every dollar is tied to student outcomes and long-term value for our community. Most importantly, I want our schools to be a place where families feel welcome, teachers feel supported, and students feel inspired. When we invest in our schools, we're investing in the future of our children and the future of our community. Again, my name is Sherry White, candidate for School Board District 1, the right choice at the right time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if I could have a big round of applause for all of our candidates, that includes the school board. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. As we did in our previous forum with the school board members, we're going to start with a 1-minute opening. Just to mix it up, we'll start at the other end this time. So if you'd like to give a 1-minute opening statement, remember you will have 90 seconds at the end to close as well. And after the opening statements, we'll go into the questions. It's going to be a little bit different since we have the state and the House. So it'll be a little bit of a different format. So you won't get the same questions for the House as you will the state, but we'll try to mix it up and keep it lively. So if we could start with opening statements.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. The energy in this room is very good. That shows me that there are a lot of people that are interested in what happens in their community, and there are also a lot of people that are interested in what's next for us as a country. My name is Bernard Taylor. I am a Treasure Coast native, firefighter, EMT, and paramedic. I'm a husband, father of 5, and community activist. I was born here in the state of Florida, down in Miami, moved to the Treasure Coast when I was 11 years old. Like many of you, I watched everything that's been going on over the past year and a half in our country. I watched as our elected officials continue to ignore the everyday needs of the everyday American citizen. I watched as they continue to prioritize donors over the needs of the people in their community. And I watched how legislation has impacted my community in the back of an ambulance. And I decided to do something about it. which is why I'm here today.
Thank you.
Howdy, folks. My name is James Martin, and I'm running to be your next congressman. I'm a fourth generation Hope Sound local. I'm a husband, dad, and proud Coast Guard veteran. I was born and raised right here in Hope Sound, son of a public school teacher for 31 years and a small businessman. Shout out Diamonds. After graduating from South Fork High School, I was very fortunate to earn an appointment to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, where I combined my desire to serve our country with a lifelong love of the water that was forged right here at Hope Sound Beach. After graduating from the Coast Guard Academy and becoming an officer in the U.S. Coast Guard, I crisscrossed the Caribbean and the Middle East, chasing drug runners and terrorists. I even spent 2 years off the coast of South Florida, protecting our maritime border as the captain of not one, but 2 ships. In my last assignment on active duty, I served as the chief of staff of 2 vice presidents' national security teams across party lines, leading a team of policy professionals from across the U.S. government to advise the vice president on all aspects of foreign policy and national security. Look forward to the conversation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Panditch, and I am running for HD 86. I had a quote that I recently loved that I would love to share. Citizenship in a democracy is not something you are handed. It is something you do. That is what got me started down the political line. I am a small business owner, a mother, and a wife. I graduated from Cornell in 2006 with a degree in communications and have been a horse trainer since. I have helped people shape dreams and achieve them, and I am hopeful to help protect what is important to us in Florida. My biggest priorities include affordability, conservation, and accountability. I recently ran for village council in my town, and I lost, but our biggest pushback was against overdevelopment, and my biggest phrase was progress with purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bona.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Bona. I'm running for Florida House of Representatives, District 85. I'm a husband. I'm glad to have my wife Tara here with me to support me like she always does. I'm a father of 3. I'm a small business owner, and I'm a current councilman in the city of Port St. Lucie. I also am a past county commissioner appointed by Governor Rick Scott. I'm running to serve the community that I live in and I'm raising my family in, and in great gratitude for a community that invested in me as a young man. I was a little brother in Big Brothers Big Sisters. I'm an Eagle Scout. I received scholarships from the Rotary Club, the Education Foundation. I recently finished a term as immediate past chair of the Education Foundation. I've been a Big Brother in Big Brothers Big Sisters, member of that same Rotary Club for over a decade, and I'm just so grateful that they invested in me and I earned my finance degree from Georgetown. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with our first question for our candidates for State House. If elected or reelected, well, no reelected in this one. If elected in November, you'll have an opportunity to file legislation for the 2027 legislative session. What are 3 areas that you would pursue legislation?
Thank you. So my priorities are dealing with affordability. And so I'm going to focus on issues like insurance reform, like things that deal with job creation at the local level and getting rid of harmful regulations. I'm going to deal with things like property taxes and how do we implement that. Also, our environment is very essential to our community and our way of life and our local economy. So I'm going to be interested in bills that would affect that. And I also am just a huge believer in education. I believe that choice makes schools better. Our superintendent talks about how he loves competition because it makes everyone better. And you see that in St. Lucie becoming an A school district for the first time in forever. So I think those are the three areas. I'd be very prudent and strategic about the specific bills I file because you only get 7 of them. But those are my focuses. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Panditch?
In my recent council race, I found a lot of problems with development with regard to state preemption, SB 180 being one of the biggest ones. In my town, we have our first lawsuit from a developer, billionaire, suing our town. That will cost our taxpayers money. So pushing back and re-regulating SB 180 for its original intent, which was building back faster after hurricanes. That is not what is happening. So anything protecting home rule is of utmost importance. Also, a massive pushback on data centers and a 2-year moratorium until we have more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will be for the future congressman hopefuls. What do you see as the top 3 issues facing Congress, and how would you address them? Mr. Martin?
When I'm elected to Congress, the 3 issues I'm going to be laser focused on. Number 1, the cost of living crisis that is gripping working families across this country. Number 2, finally addressing our clean water crisis. We've had major progress on it, but there's a lot more work to do. 3, we need to get big money and dark money out of politics. That includes banning members of Congress from trading stocks on Polymarket and Kalshi and crypto. Until we make progress on that last issue, we will not be able to make progress on any other issue facing this country, whether that's AI, whether that's anti-monopoly legislation, you name it. We can't address it without getting big money out of politics. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor?
When I'm elected, my main 3 priorities are to do what we can to get corruption out of politics, getting money out of politics, establishing term limits for not only the House of Representatives, but the Senate and the judiciary as well. I also want to make sure we are addressing our affordability crisis here in Florida. Florida recently became the #1 worst state to rent in the entire country. We are 18% above the national average in terms of renters, and that affects not only our young people and our seniors in this room as well, who are here on a fixed income mostly. We want to address that, and we want to also make sure we are addressing the environment. We want to make sure that we finally address the waters that are flowing from Okeechobee. We want to make sure that we are finally diverting the Lake Okeechobee south like is it intended to, and also making sure that we are strengthening our nutrient and water quality standards that are coming down from the lake as well. I believe these 3 things are the most important things that affect us here in this district.
Thank you. Back to our state representatives. We'll start with Ms. Bandich on this one. Deregulation has been a consistent theme over the past few years in the legislature, especially as small businesses are impacted by too much government regulation. What laws would you consider repealing?
I don't know if I would go about repealing. I think that what we need to look towards is how funding for development pushes through. I have seen firsthand in council meetings where a new development comes into town and they don't pay their fair share. The roads, the infrastructure that needs improvement, the county covers a cost. If it's in a town that's incorporated, they carry a cost, and that cost gets passed along to you. I think a way to push back and support small businesses is to make those big boys pay their fair share when they come into town and start changing things at our expense. And I think in turn, that will give small businesses a better shot at going up against these big box retailers.
Thank you. Mr. Bada.
So we live in a state that people want to move into, not that people want to move out of. Florida is really the envy of the nation in many ways. We do have our challenges, but we are the envy of the nation. And one of the reasons is because we want to make it as easy as possible to do business in the state of Florida. We don't want to hinder government. We don't want government to hinder the opportunity for people to create jobs and run their business. And so I think we should continue working with industry leaders to really identify things that are preventing them from doing business well. So, also as a local official, we talk a lot about like statewide regulations. I have seen the impact of statewide mandates and things of that nature. And so I, as a local official, really can help identify the balance between home rule, but also establishing clear standards to ensure that it's easy to do business in the state of Florida.
Thank you. Starting with Mr. Taylor, what federal border and immigration policies would you support and why?
I would support the legislation that was proposed by Senator Langford back in 2024. the bipartisan bill that was put forth before the Senate that would have strengthened our borders, that would have also reformed the asylum process and actually funded our judiciary process so that it did not take you 5 to 10 years to find out if you were going to be a citizen or not. We had an opportunity where our government actually worked together on a bipartisan fashion to actually reform our immigration system. However, our government does what our government does. It keeps systems broken so that people have something to run on every 2 to 4 years. I believe that that bill is still in play and can be passed at any point in time, which is something that I will be much willing to do.
Thank you. Mr. Martin.
Thanks so much. Well, I appreciate this question because I'm the only candidate in this race who has worked on federal immigration policy and federal immigration enforcement in the U.S. Coast Guard. So I am a major proponent of having a safe, fair, transparent, and humane immigration system. What that means is we are a country of laws. Make no mistake, we are a country of laws. But we also have to have a fair and transparent and humane system for folks to apply for asylum. And what happens when you do not have asylum judges and an asylum system funded is the chaos that you see at the southern border. So that is how I feel on the issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to our candidates for State House. Although property tax reform has been a focus in Tallahassee, high property insurance rates for homeowners and commercial businesses continue to be one of the key reasons businesses are struggling and homeowners are potentially leaving Florida. What do you propose as a solution? We'll start here with Mr. Bona.
So, first of all, I think it's really important to acknowledge that a lot of the reforms that the legislature has been working on are helping to stabilize the market. And, even though you're not necessarily seeing premiums come down, you are seeing rates stabilize. And you look, if a home is, the valuation has doubled, the rate is the premium's not necessarily going to go down. But the way you're able to make a positive impact in this market is two things. One, you have to go after the lawsuit abuse. And I just saw that over $1 billion was returned to policyholders as a result, and they credited the lawsuit, the tort reform. And the second is you have to increase competition. There's a lot of things that sound good, like we should have this requirement or that requirement, but then the insurance companies leave the state, and you see that in places like California. And the key is getting more people to offer insurance here, not less.
Thank you. Spandich?
I love this question because I knew it was coming a little bit. I think one of the biggest issues with our insurance rates comes down to a very simple fact is, are your legislators acting on behalf of the people and the small businesses? Or are they making decisions based on who is behind them financially? I will borrow a bit from James and Bernard in speaking about campaign transparency. I propose a PAC 1 transfer limit so candidates can't get money that you can't see along the way. So I think that we want candidates that really stand behind the people and will look over the math that stands behind it and find creative outlets, but know that they're not in insurance companies' pockets.
Thank you. We'll start the next question with Mr. Martin. Many people are concerned with the current state of our economy. What do you, if elected to Congress, what do you propose to stabilize our current economy and drive consumer prices down?
Terrific question, because as I mentioned, I am laser focused on the cost of living crisis that is gripping working families like mine and like many of yours. The three things that we can immediately do to affect this cost of living crisis. Number one, repeal the reckless tariffs. Number two, we need to have property insurance backstop at the federal level. In this state, if the state legislature cannot accomplish it, then the federal government must step in and backstop. There is a current bill, the Homeowners Defense Act, which is on the floor of Congress waiting to be passed. We need to pass it. Number three, we need to reinstate the Affordable Care Act premium subsidies. I talk to folks across the Treasure Coast who are gripped by health insurance issues. I've talked to a woman whose health insurance, quadrupled. That is not tenable for regular people. So thank you so much for the question. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
3 things I would do to address affordability to bring costs down for all Americans. Number one, in terms of housing, attack these corporations and hedge funds that continue to buy our properties all up and down Florida that price each and every one of us out of our homes. Number 2, I am a proponent for a single-payer healthcare system. As a firefighter, EMT, paramedic, I see inside how our healthcare system is failing each and every one of us in this room. And if we're going to spend $1 billion a day to take lives, there's no reason why we can't invest in the lives here in our American citizens. And finally, repeal the tariffs. That was the start of all the things from last year to where we got to now. So we definitely want to make sure that we repeal the reckless tariffs.
Thank you. Starting with Ms. Bandich, pre-K through 12 schools have been closing across the state due to declining enrollment that is accompanied by decreased funding, with some county school systems facing another year of closures in the fall. What do you propose to do at the state level to address this situation?
As of right now, private school attendees and parents that make significantly more money than the average person still get those $8,000 checks. I propose that there is a income threshold where you no longer can receive those checks and then that money goes back to the system. I also recommend that private schools with large endowments suggest to their wealthy clientele that they don't accept those checks and maybe help close the gap with contributions from the private sector as well.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, I think you can really support school choice and also support our public schools. I'm the immediate past chairman of the St. Lucie Education Foundation. I'm a product of public schools. I believe we need to invest in the best teachers, and it's really about the stewardship of the local school districts. I mean, you heard from your school board candidates, Martin County's not having a lot of these budgetary issues because they have budgeted very efficiently. And so I think at the state level, we need to continue doing what we can to invest in our schools. We need to invest more in education. We've kind of closed the gap on new teacher pay. We need to focus on veteran teacher pay. And then I think we're doing the right thing with school choice.
Thank you. And we'll start with Mr. Taylor on this question. Do you feel that AI data centers should be regulated by the federal government under a grid infrastructure program, or is that an issue that should be dealt with at the state and local government level?
I'm always a proponent for the state being able to handle its business, but I do believe that if the state is not going to regulate AI, that AI should be regulated at the federal level. Here in Florida, District 21, we have a total of 4 data centers that are being proposed within a 60 square mile radius. If you are not familiar with some of the things and some of the consequences of having a data center in your backyard, we're talking about noise pollution, we're talking about elevated temperatures, we're talking about increases in water consumption, increases in electricity, and all of that for maybe a little bit of property tax relief or maybe a little bit of an increase to your tax base. I don't believe that data centers positives outweigh their negatives, which is why I will always stand against any data center proposal that is brought to the Treasure Coast.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
I appreciate the question because it as a 4th generation local, the building of AI data centers is of paramount importance and concern to me. However, I will always be a proponent of state and local municipalities being able to regulate land use. My chief concern with AI data centers at the federal level is currently there is an executive order signed last July, 1 year ago, that fast-tracked all of the environmental reviews for these AI data centers across the country. That is where Congress needs to step in and regulate, because that's the purpose of the federal government, to stand up for the little guy when they can't stand up for themselves. Thanks.
Thank you. Now we'll go into our rapid round questions, and I'll try to alternate. We'll do the state, and then we'll do the federal level, and I'll do one question each time. This is when you show your paddles. So for our state representative candidates, do you support continued dedicated funding for the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan? Thank you. For our U.S. House, should the United States continue providing military and economic assistance to allied nations engaged in armed conflicts when it advances U.S. national interests? For our State House, do you support funding for research and corrective measures for red tide? All right. For our other candidates, do you believe we have a health care crisis in the United States? I think I know where the answer's going there. Yeah. You certainly chime in from both levels if you'd like. Do you support efforts to recover lost fuel tax revenue resulting from increased numbers of electric and hybrid vehicles using less fuel and less fuel tax to support road maintenance? That's for state. Do you support efforts to recover lost fuel tax revenue resulting from increased numbers of electric and hybrid vehicles that are using less fuel and generating less fuel tax to support road maintenance?
It would depend on the measure.
Nope, you don't get to qualify your answers. No. It's do you support efforts? Would you support legislation to address the fact that you have more people not paying for gas, they're paying for electric, but yet they're still using the roads?
I need more information.
Okay, you can abstain. That's perfectly fine. For our U.S. House representatives, I think I'll know the answer to this question too. Do you believe we have a homeless problem in the United States? Some softballs for the U.S. House seats. For our state reps, do you feel the state of Florida establish energy use policies and permitting requirements for all AI data centers? For U.S. House, do you support continued federal funding for the Water Resource Development Act? I think I know from your previous answers where you'd fall on that. And then for our state reps, do you feel that local governments are spending tax dollars appropriately? All right, let me ask you, do you feel that Martin County is spending its local tax dollars appropriately? It's a pretty straightforward question. Do you feel that Martin County is spending its local tax dollars appropriately?
Yeah, or this is a state rule. Let's know all the counties.
You can abstain or not answer. Finally, for the U.S. House, do you feel the current response capabilities of FEMA are adequate for all perils? Thank you very much. That concludes our state and U.S. House. Thank you very much for your participation. Yep. Oh, wait, I got to give you closing statements, don't I? Almost took away their 90 seconds and I was right on time. My apologies. All right, we'll start at the far end and each of you will get 90 seconds for a closing statement. Oh, wait, didn't I start with you for the opening?
I'm already up. It's fine.
He's already up. How about we'll start there and then we'll go back and forth?
You the moderator. What would you like?
No, go ahead.
All right. Appreciate each and every one of you guys coming out here on a Thursday evening to hear each and every one of us tell you about ourselves and give you our positions. Again, I am not a career politician. I'm just somebody who wants to put people over politics. My whole goal into this race was to make sure that I put a voice for people who are actually going to look out for the people in their communities. I don't want to be beholden to anybody but to the people here on the Treasure Coast. When you guys tell me that there are things that you want, it's not my seat. This seat is for all 800,000 of us. It's up to me to represent the majority of the people here in this room and across the Treasure Coast, which is what I intend to do. I didn't get into this race to do anything but serve people. As a public servant for now going on 7 years, that risks his life for the people here in this community each and every 3 days. My only goal and my only hope is that when you go to that ballot box, you take my public service and you take the fact that I'm willing to walk into a burning building for each and every one of you without even knowing who you are in order to make sure that this community is safe. Thank you for having me, and thank you guys for being here as well.
Thank you. It's Martin.
Thank you so much to the Hope Sound Chamber. Quick shout out to them. And thank you so much to the lovely Hope Sound Bible College. This is a terrific event for everyone. What I want everyone, each and every person here to remember when they leave here tonight about James Martin is that James Martin is running to be the congressman for everyone, not the Republican congressman or the Democratic congressman, the congressman for everyone. To meet this moment that we're in, there's a lot to meet in this moment, we need to look to those not who have just produced rhetoric, but those who have produced results. $3.5 billion of illicit narcotics prevented from reaching American shores. More than 400 human and drug smugglers behind bars. Advising our world leaders at the highest levels of our government and crafting policy at the highest levels of our government. And most importantly, leading our sons and daughters into harm's way. That's my track record. I look forward to working with each person in this room to deliver real leadership to this district and this great country, not to make it redder or bluer, but better and truer, because this campaign is for everyone. If you like what you heard here tonight, head to jamesmartinforflorida.com. We've got a place for you. Look forward to chatting. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bandich.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to tell two kind of quick stories, one in the past, one coming up. I was not planning on running in this race. I had just finished a village council race that was exhausting and I poured a lot of my heart into in March. But I was reminded that our transparency and our competition and how our political system feels right now feels so broken. What I want to work towards is on goals that are mutually agreed upon. I hear everyone here wants to support their beautiful community, the land, the water, protect what is for our next generations. So I have come up with a plan and a piece of legislation. It is on my Instagram now. I posted it on Monday, where it restricts the ability for PACs to pass money through other PACs. It is a one transfer rule. So when a donor gives to a PAC, that has to go directly to an expenditure or a campaign. This is in response to what Hawaii is trying to do at a state level and repeal Citizens United, which is one of the biggest barriers in us having a functional democracy. So I want to chip away at that systemically and incrementally, which is how I also plan to make any changes, if elected, incrementally and with bipartisan support on things we both all agree on. Thank you. Elizabeth
Thank you.
Kendrick.
Mr. Bada.
Thank you. I am Anthony Bana, running for Florida House of Representatives, District 85. First thing I like to do, and I do this all the time, is if you have a cell phone, my cell phone is 772-237-0984. That's 772-237-0984. I believe in communication, I believe in transparency, and I believe in constituent services, always have, always will. As a city councilman, I voted to cut the tax rate every year. We have the third lowest city tax rate of the top 20 largest cities. I signed the I voted for the 287G agreement to allow our local law enforcement to cooperate and help enforce our immigration laws. I have always supported public safety. We grew our ratio of officers per 1,000 residents. I led the city's effort to combat human trafficking, and we became the first city in the state of Florida to train all of our employees. We're recognized as Trailblazer of the Year for those efforts. I will always be committed, transparent, open, and work extremely hard. I was the only candidate to qualify by petition in this race. I'm very proud of that. And AnthonyBana.com. I look forward to continuing the conversation with you over the next several months.
Thank you very much. Now I think I'm accurate. I believe that concludes this part of our program. Next will be our county commission candidates. An opportunity to give their 1-minute opening statements, and we'll start down at this end with Ms. O'Rourke and work all the way to the end with Mr. Oldenburg.
Okay,
Ms. O'Rourke?
I'm ready. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm Susan O'Rourke, running for County Commissioner, District 2. I've been a resident of Martin County for 24 years. Raised 3 amazing young sons here, young men. The oldest is working on his PhD. My middle son is an electrical engineer, and my youngest son is a recent graduate of the Naval Academy, currently serving in Okinawa. I have owned a small business in the engineering field for 35 years after earning my degree at Vanderbilt University. I'm running for office to deal with the legacy of Martin County to maintain the environment, protect our community, and continue the civility at the county level. I look forward to bringing my unique skills to the board. I ask for your vote on August 18th.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for letting me be here. And I feel really good being in this place talking to you for sure. My name is John Dial. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm a 27-year resident of Martin County, and I came to Florida in 1978. I sit on the board of Chapman School of Seamanship, as our moderator does, as well as on the National Association of Safe Boating Law Administrators. I'm a U.S. military veteran. My FAA pilot. I run 3 companies now and have produced over $3 million in paychecks for people, and I know how to run a business, and I believe in term limits.
Thank you. Commissioner Hurd?
Good evening, diehards. My name is Sarah Hurd. I've been a Martin County resident for 38 years in Rocky Point. My campaign platform has always been short and focused, and that is I want us to curb overdevelopment, I want to clean up our water, and I want to keep our taxes low. Every single person up here will make the same claim, with the distinction that I have a 23-year voting record that will prove that I keep my word.
Mr. Collins?
My name is Christopher Collins. I am a father, husband. I have 4 small children. I have been in private practice as a chiropractor for the last 15 years in downtown Stewart. I've served as, can you hear me, Joe? Yeah. I've served as a Stewart City Commissioner and Mayor for the last 4 years, almost 4 years. And similar to Commissioner Hurd, my platform has been slow growth, clean water, and low taxes. Where she's got me beat on years, I've had 4 years to deliver that faithfully and have been working hard. And I have no ties to development. I have no strings. I don't accept developer money. I've never worked for developers. I'm very proud of that.
Thank you. Mr. Laughlin, I believe, is next.
What, right? Hearing all right? Yeah, very good.
There we go.
There we go. Good evening, and thanks for sticking around and hanging in there. We're in the home stretch now. My name is Will Laughlin. Been here for 33 years, former educator in parochial schools, Department of Juvenile Justice, and public schools. And then most recently in 2014, I started my own small business and a private investment firm. I'm running basically because I like Stewart. I love the small town feel. I would like to keep that small town feel intact. I'm very concerned about state overreach, and I would love to keep people's property taxes right where they're at. And in fact, former Mayor Collins was kind of a driver in helping reduce property taxes. So I kind of like the millage rate, exactly. I would kind of like to follow up and maintain that level. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell?
Good evening. I'm Campbell Rich, and I'm running for re-election as a Stewart City Commissioner. I'm not going to give you my CV. It would take too long, especially if I had to include all the statewide policy committees I currently serve on for the benefit of the city of Stewart. I'll give you a quick synopsis of where I think the city is right now. The city has been so focused on what we didn't want that we have lost track of what our job really is, and that is to make the city better for us. And what we learned in that insufficient, inadequate process is that no is not a plan. And what took literally decades to accomplish, to build, can start to be undone in just a few years. The first fatality of that has been our comprehensive plan, which we have totally ignored. The comprehensive plan is our Constitution. It protects the city, it protects our waterways, and it protects the taxpayers. We need to get back to focus on what our job is, to make the city better for us. We need desperately to provide more support to our downtown businesses. They provide jobs. We have to make our streets, waterways, parks, and
Time.
sidewalks.
Time. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Good evening. I'm Merritt Matheson. I'm a proud husband and father of 2 young daughters. My wife and I are both Martin County natives. My background, I have a bachelor's in environmental biology. For much of my life, I was a charter captain fishing all over the world until I went legally blind. I came back to the city of Stewart to raise a family in my hometown. I was the former mayor and commissioner of Stewart. During that time, one of the things I'm very proud of is passing a referendum for term limits forever in the city of Stewart. I was also the spokesperson appointed by my fellow commissioners during that time to speak on behalf of the city of Stewart for water quality. I currently sit on the governing board of Rivers Coalition and am president of Indian River Keeper Board. Both advocate for clean water in our area, Martin County and the surrounding northern Everglades. A thing I'm very proud of over the past 4 years was I helped co-create Martin County Forever. I saw a problem and
Thank you very
we have
much.
preserved over 3,000 acres of land.
Thank you very much.
How's it going? My name is Dane Oldenborg, and I'm up here running for one reason and one reason only. I feel like that old school Florida vibe is absolutely disappearing. Every single time you look at the map year after year, it's less and less green. The corruption is at an all-time high. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you how intricate the corruption gets, but it's very, very bad. There's a lot of stuff I want to change. I think our river is disgusting. I'm very glad that the city of Stewart hired an environmental attorney that can hopefully address these issues. And I'm a Martin County native, and I look forward to serving the city. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll start with Mr. Oldenburg. This is a question with a little twist for all of our candidates. And it is, what are the 3 main issues, one facing the city commission, and then obviously for the county commission, facing the Martin County Board of County Commissioners? So what do you see as the 3 main issues facing the Stewart City Commission, starting with Mr. Oldenburg?
Like I said, our river is absolutely disgusting. I think that would be my number one thing. I think that if you're going to be a conservationist in our area, I want to see more credentials. These people are getting paid 6 figures to come to our community and do nothing, and I think it's absolutely disgusting. And then thirdly, I think that affordable housing is a major issue. We've always heard that we have it, but I don't see anybody with it. I don't really even know of many places that have affordable housing, so that would be my top 3.
Thank you.
Government is supposed to work for the people. The top issue going on in this county and city is the hate and vitriol being spread and the toxic environment that's going on, preventing everything from getting done. The other issue is, as it's been stated, is growth and the change in Martin County and the city of Stewart. To solve that issue, I helped create Martin County Forever, which is putting conservation land, over 3,000 acres of land in Martin County so far. I'd like to create that model, recreate that model with Martin County Forever on the city of Stewart level. City of Stewart receives roughly $2.7 million, and they're a year and a half in from receiving that money. What has been done so far? The model is there, let's recreate it. And third, with the city of Stewart, is the constant waste with our taxpayer dollars. There's been frivolous lawsuits going on, and high-level severances of city staff that need to be addressed, and our budget needs to get back online and in check in the city of Stewart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the elephant in the room, and this was not mentioned before, no, but the threat of this referendum on cities is very dire. I know some municipalities are actually preparing 2 budgets. The city of Stewart is currently going to be in a deficit because of the shenanigans with our city staff. We're behind on the audit for the first time in years. So we have got to deal with that and get our affairs in order. Stewart has always been very fiscally sound, and we are not currently in that position. Water is everything. We cannot go through what we went through in 2016. And we have made the commitment and to provide the resources to fight this at every single level and make sure that it doesn't happen again. And then again, we really need to support the downtown. The downtown is struggling. Those businesses are struggling. When Andres Duani was here a few months ago, he says, you have to commit to doing what you did 20 years ago.
Thank you. I think a lot of people are underestimating the overreach from the state. It was nice to hear one of the state reps talk about Senate Bill 180. There's a big risk of losing control on the local level. So that's one of my main issues. I would like to the previous commission had voted to join a lawsuit against Senate Bill 180. I would like to try to defend against state overreach. In addition, there is a concern about affordable housing in the area. This ties into, and as my opponent here just identified, some of the budget constraints and issues. The CRA, among other things, is all tied in. They all tie into budget issues, and there is plenty of funding available. We just have to restructure it. There were 400 CRAs in California. They all failed. We need to realize why they failed and make sure it doesn't happen here. I see I'm running out of time. Thank you. Mr. Collins, what three main issues do you see facing the Martin County Board of County Commissioners?
So the threats are real and they're coming fast. We've heard a lot about data centers. The preservation of agricultural land in the county is critical. In South County here, you're facing projects like Story, Abacoa type developments that could be going in. Preserving your 1 unit per 20 acre ag land is critical for the future of Martin County and our green space. Property tax reform, I got to be involved in a belt tightening at the city. We did that intelligently and preemptively by listening to the state and knowing that this was coming. So we were able to start cutting spending, cutting taxes, and reprioritizing what we were spending money on. So similarly, water quality is always important and takes constant vigilance. So those would be the three main.
Thank you. Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, I agree that water quality is our most pressing issue. But fortunately, we have a number of initiatives underway that will go a long way toward improving our water quality. The most important is the $2 billion Indian River Lagoon South Plan. That's a state-federal partnership to improve water quality. Another is our conservation tax, half-cent sales tax, which will raise $200 million, $220 million to acquire lands. And also, we've been really active converting septic to sewer programs throughout the county. So those programs will go a long way toward improving water quality. Tax reform is definitely a huge issue in Martin County. We are heavily dependent upon homesteaded ad valorem taxes and also rural development. We have to get a handle on how on earth we're going to accommodate any additional growth outside the urban service boundaries.
Thank you. Mr. Dial.
I think we can all agree on water quality is number one on all of our lists. But I think more than anything to me, it's economic responsibility to the taxpayers. You can spend in tax or you can tax and spend. And what I see, they spend in tax. You have to operate within a budget. And we all talk about the proposing legislation on the homestead exemption raising up, and we all kind of forget about 2008 and 2010. And the difference between the projected loss and what we lost in is 6%. If we can't trim 6% out of the budget, then we've got bloated government as well. And I think we need to think about the taxpayers more than the government.
Thank you. Ms. O'Rourke.
Thank you. Again, with the water quality, one of the primary issues in the county, it's necessary for our health and for our success economically. We're fortunate, as Commissioner Hurd has mentioned, that there are a number of programs already on the books that we need to continue to work with our partners. So it's very important that we can retain a relationship and have civil discourse so we don't discourage the partners from continuing to partner with us so we continue to serve secure that money. Again, with the fiscal impacts, and we're going to have to reevaluate the budget based on the referendum. And finally, with the slow growth, what we do have some tools available to us with the Martin County Forever. That is $20 million a year that will help us set aside the most important lands to us as we plan for the future. If we don't plan, we're not going to be able to address and pivot when these properties come in and evaluate them in the whole. Thank you.
Many of our candidates have mentioned the homestead exemption issue. And so I'd like to give each of you an opportunity to discuss what you think, and I believe you've touched on it, but I'd like to give each of you a minute to talk about what you see the impact of, if that were to pass, what the impact will be at the county level and at the city level, and how you would address that if elected to your position. And we'll start with Ms. O'Rourke.
Okay. I think the first thing is to go through, I'm sure the county has already been going through a process to evaluate, the causes, what would happen to us, what would our revenue look like should this pass. It's phased in, so it does give us some time. And I think it makes us look a little bit more at our tax base and what resources we need to be able to balance in consideration of this occurring. It's going to be November pretty soon. We will come in office when that has already occurred. So after we do that assessment, then we have to plan for the future to work within the budget that we will now be dealing with. And we have a $1.6 billion budget for 10 years, and we'll have to see what that looks like after the fact. Thank you.
Well, this is a subject that really we don't even know what that entails in its entirety. But it really comes down again is if it does pass, it means more money in your pocket. And if that's the case, then the government needs to pull back their spending and be transparent about all of our expenditures. The no bid contracts, the propping up of private entities to the tune of $84 million. I think our money is spent without regard to the taxpayers. And I think until we, the taxpayers, retain more of our money and the government understands that, they work for us, they sign the front of the check, we sign the back in the government, then we're going to be fighting an uphill balance or battle on that. So that's pretty much my stand on that is we'll deal with it when it comes to us, but we've seen this before.
Thank you.
So we are heavily dependent upon ad valorem taxes in Martin County, much more than most counties are. About $350 million of our funding each year comes from ad valorem taxes, and many of those are homesteaded. So we assume that approximately in the first year, if the referendum is successful, we will lose $70, $80 million of revenues. In the second year, $120 million. And also the legislature is proposing that there be essential services and non-essential services. And even if we had the money, we wouldn't be able to fund the non-essential services. Some of the non-essential services include things like parks, beaches, libraries, information technology. So these are all going to have enormous impacts for the services that we provide, the quality of life that we provide with the taxes that you give us.
Thank you.
It is a complicated issue. Fundamentally, I do not think we should be paying property taxes as a red-blooded American, but we also have to keep the lights on. We have to have a functional city and county, and counties are going to have to contract. The number one most important thing are those guys in the back. We need to make sure that police and fire are properly funded. From there, we did this at the city, you're looking at prioritizing what is the most essential. And then again, belt tightening, trimming that budget where, whether it's cutting staff or potentially cutting non-essential services, it is going to be a heavy lift and a big project that it's going to have to be done over this next 4 years. And I'm thankful that I'm going to be able to be a part of that.
I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. How many of you are tired of Big Daddy government? I know I am. And I know this solution is driven by an agenda. And they propose, well, you're going to get a $250,000 or $150,000 the first year, $250,000 property tax, homestead exemption, this, that, or whatever. Ultimately, it's going to cause a lot of unknown and chaos amongst local people that do budgets in the city. How do we do that? I was just talking to a city worker today at the ball fields. His future, he's unknown. Am I going to have a job? We've already laid off people. It should be the responsibility of the local people to control their own budgets. Now, with property taxes, yeah, I kind of agree with candidate Collins. I don't like paying property taxes, and I think they should be capped as wherever you bought the property at, that's where they should stay. That's another possible solution. But we're dealing with a problem that really don't have a lot of answers yet.
Thank you very much.
I don't think it's complicated. I think it stinks. There's a rule of government. The closer the taxpayers are to the people who spend their money, who make the decisions, the better their government is. This is the worst case for small cities and towns. I sit on the board of directors for Florida League of Cities. This is an existential threat to so many communities. Let me tell you a story that reveals all you need to know, really. I met with the new head of the Children's Services Council. They have a $13 million budget. There's no organization does anything more important in our community than Children's Services Council. They were talking to the state senator. The state senator, she said, "Oh no, you're protected with this cut." And she had to make the senator aware, no, we're not. And that budget can be cut by as much as a third. That's our children. That's health.
Thank you very much. Mr. Matheson?
Martin County and the city of Stuart and the residents there enjoy an excellent and amazing quality of life. And this is going to be extremely detrimental to that quality of life. The local governments, both at the county level and the city level, should be acting now. Education, education, education to the public, and forecasting and showing the public how this will impact that quality of life. The action should be taken by our local governments right now to predict what will happen. The state has given the choice to the people, and it's up to our local governments to show how it will affect their quality of life. If I'm fortunate enough to be in office, I will have those same conversations with financial advisors, both in the city staff and outside, how to adjust accordingly with each department and balance that in a balanced reduction, whether it's your public safety department, your police, your fire, your finance department, your public works department, or just as important are your parks and recreation department. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's really great to be able to save some money, but at the end of the day, the city of Stuart is in a deficit, so I think this would be very it's not going to be that great. I don't understand how we could overcome it with such a big deficit, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a problem for us.
Thank you. This is a question for the City Commission. We'll start with Mr. Laughlin and work our way down. Do you support the Bright Line station in the city of Stuart?
I don't mind a train station. I do not support Brightline station, especially in the given location, because I believe it's their intention to use state law, the state laws that I was talking about earlier, to bypass the 4-story limit. And it's written in the state law that if you're within 1 mile of the highest or the tallest building in the municipality, then you can build that high. So they're looking at potentially 7-story, that would be the hospital. So they're looking at 7-story apartment towers going in right there. On top of that, the way that the current zoning is, those ball fields next door, they can acquire those and build 3 more towers. Now imagine what Stuart's going to look like with 3 to 4, maybe even 5 7-story towers. No, I don't like Brightline. They're a bad, corrupt company to begin with. I understand. I did a lot of research in their background. No, I do not support Brightline. I'm not necessarily against the station.
Thank you. Yes, I do. And I've always supported the Bright Line. You know who really wants the Bright Line is younger kids and young families, because they want choices. It just has to be a good deal for the taxpayer. And, that deal can be made. The city of Stewart turned down, Brightline agreed that the city of Stewart would not pay more than $5 million for that station back a couple years. And the fact that we turned that down is just still unbelievable to me. But we need to find a way to make it work. We need to find a way to have fewer cars come into our community. We need to find a way to cause less pollution in the waterways. And we need to support tourists coming to our city.
Thank you.
A couple years ago, the City of Stewart Commission decided to rip up an already agreed upon signed contract. I spoke at that meeting and stated how damaging it would be to the city's reputation. That damage has gone statewide. City of Stewart pushed its seat away at the table from dealing with and negotiating with Brightline. That's a major problem. Frankly, as it stands right now, City of Stewart has no opinion on a Brightline station. It's all up to the county. I think when you represent the people, you should at least keep your seat at the table for those negotiations. Sadly, that's not the case with the City of Stewart. I am in 100% support of a Brightline bridge. I was in opposition of Brightline being able to go over a 100-year-old bridge. But since higher levels of government let Brightline come into town and are running through our town, the least we could do is fight to achieve federal grants for a double-tracked raised bridge for our public safety and quality of life here. Thank you.
I think the Brightline deal was a complete joke. The fact that they came at us for $60 million, that was just outrageous. I'm a traveler. I probably travel more than anybody in this room, and I would absolutely never want our city to be on the hook for $60 million. I think it's atrocious. It's a private business. I don't think it makes sense for our community, and that's what I have to say about that.
For our Board of County Commissioners, starting with Mr. Collins, if you could change one policy, department, or priority, what would you propose changing and why?
I'll just segue into Brightline.
What's that?
We'll just segue right off of Brightline. So that's one of the things at the city that I was the most proud of, was rescinding that Brightline deal and saving taxpayers at the city $30 million plus interest and potentially another 10 or 15 on a parking garage in the future. That often gets overlooked, is that when we rescinded that deal, which was actually not signed, but when we rescinded that deal, we offered the county on a silver platter an opportunity to renegotiate with Brightline where they would be paying half. And instead, the county went unilaterally and put taxpayers on the hook to fund 100% of the cost of the station. That is now up to $87 million because Brightline's not paying anything. But to the Brightline point and in the county as well, Brightline should be paying for half of that station. I think most reasonable people can agree that taxpayers should not fund 100% of the cost of that station. So I would be in favor at the county level renegotiating that deal.
Thank you. Commissioner Hurd, if you could change one policy, department, or priority, what would you propose changing and why?
A year and a half ago, when we seated a new commission with 2 new members, we rapidly changed our comprehensive plan in order to try to redefine the ever-expanding uses of rural lifestyle, expanding into outside the urban service boundary, and we clawed back some protections that we know are really, really important to all of you, and we passed them, we adopted them, and the state, through Senate Bill 180, took that ability away from us. They preempted us from doing that. So that would be the first thing that I would do, is claw back those protections to make sure that we have control about what happens in developing Western Martin County.
Mr. Dial.
I think I'm going to kind of go back to Brightline because that's a kind of a pet project for me. Warren Buffett made a statement, you cannot make a good deal with a bad guy. And I think a lot of people lose sight that, you know, those tracks were paid with federal grant money. And if you saw when they were built up really strong to hold more freight. Now, I'm not against freight, and I would ride the Brightline if it was here. But I do not agree with spending taxpayer money for private corporations. If they want to buy their own place and have the train station, I will ride it. I also have to agree with Ms. Hurd here that we need to establish more control over our rural properties and protect the farmlands that we have to the west, because they are being taken, ladies and gentlemen, at a rapid rate and have been for the last 10 years. And we need to stop that.
Thank you, Ms. O'Rourke.
Okay, what I would say is one of the things that I've learned working as a traffic engineer, I would like to see some of the rules related to concurrency, is how your roads get built and how much the developers have to pay. I'd like to see us clean that up. If you read the rules, you'll see that in many cases, we leave some things on the table. We don't ask enough. And I think we can rewrite some of that language, bringing my experience to the table. I've been on that side working with the developers. I know what the process is, and our rules are a little bit loose. And so the bar is it's high, it's compliant, but there's some things we can do that would bring better service to the citizens, and we wouldn't have to have these battles on the dais, that we could do these things at staff level. It would be all on the table. Everybody would know what the rules were, and I think we'd get a better outcome, and people would be a lot happier with improvements being made at the time of development. Thank you.
We'll stay with the county commission questions, and Ms. O'Rourke, you get to go again first. We heard in the last, with the last folks on the dais for the other races, about the growing concerns and debate over AI data centers. What do you think is the county's role, and what is your position on data centers wanting to be located in Martin County?
Okay, the first thing I'd like to start with is the need for data centers. When you talk about a piece of infrastructure, which is what a data center ends up being, it's sort of like fiber optics or your water treatment plant. If you need the services, like if you use AI, you want to see the development of AI, you see that as the future and the direction we're going, then you need to ask yourselves what is necessary to support AI. And if it's a data center, then we need to understand that. We need to know where they need to be, how much do we need. But I do think the role is that we can't let a need that's serving somebody else or a particular segment create a quality of life issue for us here in Martin County. So I strongly think there's a role. I would suggest that we do some kind of a white paper so we eliminate all of the misinformation or banter, and we clearly understand the impacts. So if we're faced with that situation, if we have to make that vote as a board, we know what we're dealing with beforehand. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Dion.
Could you repeat that question?
Yes. We hear the debate about the data centers. What do you think is the county commission's role in proposed data centers in Martin County?
I think as a county commission, we've got to take a real stand. And if we don't know the answers, whether it's a data center or a development, it ought to be a hard no until we get more information, right? More, and you can base a decision once you have real information and not hot button topics on the internet and clickbait. And I think that's the biggest problem, is we're not educated enough on all of these items before these are pushed through for, approvals. So I think that from the county perspective of it, we need to do our due diligence. And we have to remember the one that's coming up now is in the Indiantown Village and not Martin County. So that will not be a Martin County Commission decision. That is an Indiantown Village decision.
Mr. Hurd?
The first thing that would probably have to happen is that there would be an application for a land use amendment and a zoning change in order to accommodate that use on that site, because they require huge acreage, and most of our acreage out west of the urban service boundaries is agriculture, and that's all that's allowed there. So that would be the first, and that's a legislative decision. The Board of County Commissioners has a lot of discretion about deciding whether they want to change a parcel from 1,000 acres of ag to 1,000 acres of industrial in order to accommodate data centers. And also, as everyone says, there's so much that we need to learn about data centers. How much electricity do they use? How much heat do they generate? How much water do they use? We just need to understand these impacts dispassionately before we're able to evaluate a proposal.
Thank you.
Practically, one of the things that we did in the city of Stewart was enter into a couple rounds of zoning in progress where we paused development and waited for the implications of what had been developed to come to fruition, i.e. traffic. I think if all of us are honest, you are looking at on a map all of the green space in Martin County. There is a bullseye. There is a bullseye on Martin County for AI data centers. We can all see all over the country what it is doing to different communities, whether it's water, power, the frequency, noise, and God knows what else is happening there. I would advocate immediately for a moratorium for at least a year until we have more information on data centers. I don't want to wait to be approached by FPL or Ferrera Construction or anybody else who wants to build one in Martin County. I want a moratorium, and I want to protect our green space and our ag land immediately.
For our city commission candidates, starting with Mr. Oldenburg, do you support the combination of public safety services in Martin County, fire, rescue, and police and sheriff, or at least a feasibility study on combining public safety services?
Absolutely. I think that the firefighters and the cops are one of the most important people that our communities have. Without them, the community would fail. So I put them at the highest regard, and we absolutely need to always keep them in mind and appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Matheson.
Public safety, police, and fire are one of the things that makes City of Stewart special and differentiates us from Martin County. Martin County Sheriff is a wonderful organization. Martin County Fire is a wonderful organization. But the difference of City of Stewart Fire and City of Stewart Police is what makes one of the greatest things that makes the city the city. I will always support on behalf of the taxpayer feasibility studies, but I will not consider combining them or acquiescing to just giving in to the county. They are what makes City of Stewart special, along with many other things. And that's literally the essence of us being a city.
Thank you.
That is my response. No, I am not in favor of merging them at all, but we do have the explicit fiscal responsibility on an ongoing basis to reassure our voters that we are looking after their dollars in the best way possible. And I don't view that as a threat. I view that as a means of reassuring them that understanding our response, the primary responsibility of any elected official is health and safety. And so undertaking that exercise on a periodic basis is just responsible.
Thank you. Mr. Laughlin?
Yes, public safety is the top priority for the city or any municipality. I'm against merging unless there is a very compelling reason. But I am in favor of competition, and our particular the Stewart Fire Rescue and Stewart PD do an outstanding job. They're amongst the best in the nation in response time and others. So I don't think they have any desire to merge. Maybe they do, but I like the idea of them being separate. I like competition. Competition's good, and obviously we want to be good stewards for this tax dollars. But unless there's an extremely compelling reason to merge, I would be against a merger.
Thank you. All right, it's time for the paddles. So get your paddles handy. We'll start with the City of Stewart Commission because I am behind the clock as I see it. So for our City Commission candidates, do you feel the growth rate in the City of Stewart is consistent with the City Comprehensive Growth Management Plan? Do you feel that annexing property into the city is a good economic decision? Do you support term limits for city commissioners? Oh, good point. All right, for our county commission candidates, are you in favor of individual commissioners' MSTUs, municipal services taxing units? Are you in favor? If you're in favor, should the funds be forwarded year to year if not used? If you're in favor, should the funds be forwarded year to year? For our county commission candidates, do you support a proposed relocation of a new Brightline station at the Martin County Fairgrounds property? And for all of our candidates, the final question for both the city and the county, will you vote yes or no on the proposed homestead exemption on the ballot? All right, now we'll go to our closing statements. Each of our candidates will get 90 seconds. I think I started at this end, right? So we'll start down at the other end with Mr. Olberg and work our way back. 90 seconds to tell these fine folks who stayed so late with us why they should vote for you.
Thank you guys so much for staying this late. I would vote for me because I really believe in the conservation of our community. Like I said, we're losing that old school Florida feel. And I feel like we need a strong grassroots commission that will really take care of the community. Again, I look forward to working on everything I can environmentally that I feel like has been disregarded in the past. And I hope you guys vote for me. Thank you.
I'm Merritt Matheson. I'm running for City of Stewart Group 3. Over the past 4 years of my life, I saw a problem. And I'm a goal-driven person, and I figured out a need and worked with the community on a solution to fix that problem. I helped co-create Martin County Forever. I went door-to-door lobbying for that and educated the public on that referendum. That referendum brought citizens together to work with local governments to put land into conservation. Putting land into conservation is literally what makes the Martin County difference and can make the City of Stewart difference. We've put into conservation over 3,000 acres of land. We have 9 more years to go. That's the county level. The City of Stewart, since that referendum passed, has gotten $2.7 million a year. We're a year in. What have they done with it? If I'm fortunate enough to be elected to the city commissioner, I would like to assemble the City of Stewart, Martin County Forever on a micro level. Assemble a group of residents to oversee, look after all the undeveloped properties in the City of Stewart, rank them, and pick them off one by one, because putting land into conservation is the way to preserve the Martin County difference and the City of Stewart difference for my kids and everyone else's kids for generations into the future. If it's not in conservation, it is still on the table. That is just a plain, simple fact with the property rights we have in Florida. Property rights are a wonderful thing, so let's work with the system and put it in conservation.
Thank you very much.
So I'm always surprised how many people pay attention to the city commission hearings, and they've noticed the unusual manner in which we've been behaving up there. And they often say, how do you do it? How can you do it? And that's really a small part of my job. I'm very lucky. I'm on the management board of the Indian River Lagoon Council. I'm on the board of directors of Florida League of Cities. I get to travel around the state, talk to so many other elected officials. I get to go to lunch with some incredibly qualified, competent people. I went to lunch the other day with 3 other people, and there were 5 PhDs at that table. I do not have a PhD. But I'm going to tell you very simply why I want to run again. It's a great job. Because here's the job. I get to walk around the city and go up to people and say, what do you care about and how can I help you? And then I get to call the city manager and 320 staff and say, solve this person's problem. And that's what local government does so well, and it's incredibly rewarding. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Laughlin.
Again, I'm Will Laughlin, and I have to ask the question, do you want to see 4-story apartments built on every corner? And you want to see that return to madness happen again? Many of the people of Stewart do not. I do not want to see that again. And people might say, well, slow growth, that's not an issue this time. I believe it will be if some of the individuals who are behind all that growth get back into positions of power. And then many of you might have saw the movie Fields of Dreams. If you build it, he will come. Well, if they build that station, because of the state laws, I believe the towers will come. And then that will be a very demoralizing jack across the jaw of the Stewart residents to see those towers. And then gone forever will be the quaint, charming town. If you want to see that happen, well, good for you. But that's why I'm running. I don't want to be a politician. Come on, who wants to be a politician? It is a good job, I guess, but I don't want to be a politician. I'm running because I don't like the idea of the state overreach, and I will fight in whatever way I can to protect those ball fields. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Collins.
Yes, so, there's a lot coming at Martin County. There's always development pressure. As what's north and south of us develops, Martin County becomes increasingly on everybody's radar for land flips, taking it out of ag, turning it into communities. It's going to take somebody with a backbone and a proven track record of fighting for the Martin County difference to continue to defend it. If a candidate cannot give you a clear, definitive, stance on issues, whether it's, development, whether it's data centers, it's not a good look. We need people that are fighters right now in Martin County with the state overreach, SB 102, Live Local, SB 180. At the city, we fought that. We joined that lawsuit. We need fighters at the county level where there is a real risk that we could lose Martin County. So this August, I hope you will vote for me and I can join the team here and be fighting for you and your quality of life like I have for the last 4 years.
Thank you.
I just want to say in summary that experience matters. Knowledge of the comprehensive plan matters. Having history with being a public service matters. One of the accomplishments that I'm most proud of is spearheading the authorization and funding for the Indian River Lagoon South Plan. That's our version of the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan. That's a $2 billion project that's going to benefit water quality in Martin County, and it's a state and federal partnership. We didn't receive the funding because the senators, the state senators, and the federal senators loved our projects. They funded our projects in large part because we had wonderful partnerships with them. We are dependent upon these partnerships, and particularly if the ad valorem tax reform takes effect, we are going to be more and more reliant upon fees and upon our solid relationships and partnerships with our federal and state partners. It's been a pleasure and an honor serving you for 23 years, and I ask for your vote again in August. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dial.
I'm so glad I get to go after you. You have to ask yourself, are we better off now than we were 10 years ago or 23 years ago? I think if you're going to tell me that the traffic's better and the rampant development is better, then you're not ready for change. But if you want to make a change, you have to change who's driving the bus. And I run businesses and I know how to make things work, and I produce results and I produce jobs. And so it's not so much, me asking you why you should vote for me. I want to tell you why I want to work for you. I want to get things done. I want to absolutely, and I've had the pleasure of going out and meeting so many people. I hear the same thing. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening to us. I think after some politicians have been in office so long, they lose the desire, the drive to make a difference. It's real easy to ride in the left lane on cruise control, and somebody's blocking your path. You have to get on the right lane and go by them, and that's what we're doing here. If you want change and you want to move the needle forward, you vote for change and vote for me. John Dial, District 4, Martin County Commission. I appreciate your time, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. O'Rourke?
Thank you. Susan O'Rourke again, District 2. I'd like to say that, is my time up?
No, don't worry. You're good.
That, again, I will be in office fighting for you, but not with you, and not with my colleagues on the board. The board has currently done a great job for the community and in the areas of the things that are most important to us, protecting our waterways, the conservation lands. They've given us a lot of tools to work with as far as the growth management and controlling the growth in our community. I have the background to make sure how I vote, that I'm knowledgeable about the vote and about there's nothing wishy-washy about predisposing yourself to lawsuits by making a determination. We're supposed to come with an open mind as we make a vote and going out and talking to the community and making sure we understand what they need before we make that decision. So I look forward to your vote. I'm a traffic engineer. You're going to get a 2-for-1 with me. You get a county commissioner and an engineer on the staff. So I appreciate it. Vote on August 18th, Susan O'Rourke.
Thank you very much. If we could have a big round of applause for all of our candidates, not only for these races, but the other races that we saw. Want to thank everybody for spending the time with us and educating yourself, and thank the Hobe Sound Chamber for giving me the opportunity. Everybody have a great night and drive safe.